Hello, my name's Nat. Let's see what's making news. A huge decision has been made by the International Court of Justice that could see countries that fail to tackle climate change held accountable. There's a bit to unpack here, so here's Ren.
Intense weather events, loss of species, rising sea levels. The effects of climate change are all around us.
But some of the countries experiencing the biggest impact are some of the smallest contributors, like Vanuatu.
When there are storms and so on, you see salt water coming in much further than it ever did.
It's why a small group of island countries, led by Vanuatu, brought the problem to the world's biggest court, asking them to answer two big questions.
What legal duties do countries have when it comes to climate change, and what happens if countries do not meet those legal duties?
Today, the court delivered its opinion.
The court concludes that the duty of states to prevent significant environmental harm applies in the context of climate change.
Yep, the court ruled that countries do have a legal responsibility to look after the planet.
Meaning countries that fail to act could now be seen as violating international law. And, this is a biggie, countries like Vanuatu that are already suffering the effects could potentially take major polluters to court.
Let this be the moment when we see a change and the world turns its face towards climate justice.
The decision isn't legally binding, meaning it can't force countries to act, but it adds pressure, and a lot of people are calling it a path to climate justice.
For small island states, communities in the Pacific, and for young people, and for future generations, this opinion is a lifeline.
The mascot for next year's Commonwealth Games in Glasgow has been unveiled, and here's a hint. Yes, meet Finny the unicorn. She was designed with the help of school kids in Glasgow, and one of her standout features is her horn, which was inspired by a traffic cone. You see, there's a famous statue in Glasgow that's known for having traffic cones put on it by the locals, a quirky tradition that started in the 1980s, and has since become a bit of a symbol of the Glaswegian sense of humour. Now, who do you go to when you need someone to talk to? A family member or a friend, or an AI chatbot? Yeah, new research shows more and more young people are using AI as companions. Here's Sass.
Does your AI have a name?
Pete. It says, oh, hey mate, how you going? They like my hype, man.
I've spoken to it a couple of times as a friend. It gives me good answers that I want, but then I'm like, you're a robot.
It's like, you're the best person ever, you're so original to come up with this idea, and you're like, thanks AI.
Yeah, it's becoming a lot more common for people to be turning to AI for things like friendship and advice. And they're using platforms you've probably seen before. Now, a new study that looked at a group of teens in the US found that 72% of them had used AI companions before, and that 52% of them use them regularly.
If you scratch beneath the surface, you start to see some stuff that does look a little bit concerning. We do know that a lot of kids are using them for social interaction.
The study found that a quarter of AI companion users share personal information, and that younger people are more likely to trust AI with info like their real name, location, or secrets.
You never actually know where your information's going, can have those risks to it.
I think if you're using AI in place of like your parents or your friends, you're really not building those connections that you need.
It gives you a feedback loop, and then you don't actually break out of some of those bad habits.
It won't actually be there for you. At the end of the day, it's a product for money.
Now it's time for some stories that'll really throw you for six. They've got nothing to do with cricket. They're just a bit surprising. First up, to the streets of Romania, where riders from 63 different countries took part in the first stage of this year's Romaniacs tour. More than 100 tons of rocks, 80 tons of wooden logs, and plenty of other obstacles proved to be no match for these daredevils. Well, maybe there were a few rough moments here and there. Now to a 360-degree Titanic experience in London. Audience members are teleported back in time using VR headsets, where they can explore the ship's interiors and hear stories from people on board. And finally, to Scotland, where these researchers are working out a way to make robot dogs work for farmers. But there's one big problem they've had to overcome: constantly losing signal in remote areas. They've been working on a portable 5G network that can be set up on the side of a paddock, hopefully bringing farmers one step closer to using these robot dogs in their day-to-day farming. Well, that's all from us today. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.